In its lawsuit against CDK Global, TEKION describes Auto Dealership Management Systems, the DMS, as sophisticated specialized software products that are mission critical for franchise dealerships. Inventory management, sales, finance, CRM, service, parts, accounting, reporting, legal, and regulatory compliance. Does that sound like something worth fighting for to you? Get ready for the main event. Say hello, make new friends, grow your network, and learn from the best on ATI #1, ATI Auto Business. What's up, ecosystem? Welcome back to ATI Auto Business, automotive ecosystem, where everyone learns more about the automotive industry. Let's get started with top industry news and headlines that include: why did Ford drop Jack Cooper? Are Carvana headlines different now? And can Sony sell direct but not scout? At the quarter hour, we're going to go into TEKION versus CDK Global lawsuit. And at the half hour, we've got the objective lawsuit review panel. So please do stick around for that. It is TEKION versus CDK Global, show 381 in a row on a Tuesday night on Automotive Ecosystem on ATI. Disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent. Fair use of public information will be happening here tonight on this program, referring to the legal concept that allows individuals to utilize portions of publicly available information, and anyone can use fair use if the use is for purposes such as this: commentary, news reporting, and teaching. An ADA show is coming up, is being talked about. It's the buzz right now on LinkedIn. So I say get to know your ecosystem, new, used, OEM, dealer, auction, logistics, tech, and more. You'll find it all on ATI. And recently, I've been covering some other legal issues, and I encourage you to check out those programs as well. This is the ecosystem's neutral zone. This is where you can find this hard news that's pretty hard to talk about. Let's do a recap. Dealerships lost $1 billion in business after CDK cyber attack in July. Remember that? And then a ransom was going through extensive money laundering schemes before reaching hackers' headline the next day. And what to know about dealer, consumer, employee CDK lawsuits happening that same month. Current and former auto retail employees filed 10 cyber attack related federal lawsuits against CDK Global. Tough month. And before the end of the month, this headline: Asbury CDK locked in legal fight over data control ahead of TEKION pilot. Asbury says CDK is holding its data hostage. Asbury suing its dealer management system provider CDK Global, seeking an injunction compelling the release of Ford dealership data for Asbury's pilot with rival TEKION, drawing countersuit and opposition to the injunction. So this is when we started to hear about it. It was in July. Then the next month, CDK Global to pay a $100 million settlement in landmark antitrust lawsuit benefiting dealers. $100 million to settle class action antitrust lawsuit. The lawsuit filed in 2017 was alleged against CDK and Reynolds and Reynolds. However, Reynolds settled. Wow. This is deep. Key takeaways from the class action lawsuit: accused major DMS providers of colluding to overcharge dealers, to charging higher fees for access to their own data. The settlement will benefit approximately 12,000 to 17,000 dealership rooftops, covering the period 2013 to present, which at the time was 2024. Indirectly fosters a more competitive marketplace. This stuff has been brewing. And then a judge instructed CDK to transfer their Asbury data to TEKION. It took a judge to get that data moved. Wow. Dealer Group announced the entry of a court order directing CDK Global to provide data to 4 Asbury dealerships for TEKION. TEKION pleased to announce. Okay, CDK TEKION antitrust lawsuit. So CDK says, well, it's low on substance, high on rhetoric. Forget all that other stuff. They're just talking. That the December 9th lawsuit is low on substance, high on rhetoric. Okay. The assertions are baseless. Nothing unauthorized about a CDK customer accessing their own data, and the suggestion we could have filed such a comprehensive, fact-intensive antitrust action within 3 days of CDK's threats is not credible. And as you can hear this, the rhetoric flies. So we're going to go through the lawsuit tonight on Automotive Ecosystem here on ATI. If you're watching on demand, you can skip ahead, but this is what we're going to be looking at. It's public information. You can get your own copy. So why, Jay? Why? Why are we talking about TEKION versus CDK Global? Because the DMS is worth fighting for. And anybody at NADA show knows how important this is. That's all right. Industry Logistics Thursdays at noon. Don't miss it. We had a great show last Thursday. People watch on demand, I know. Everybody's busy, man. What would I be doing right now? I'd probably be doing something else too. I'd be watching on demand. But I'd be missing what we're going to do in the energy in the objective lawsuit review panel. You don't want to miss that. All right, let's do some news. Here we go, Jay. Enough with the rhetoric, Jay. Teamsters are furious after Ford ditches auto hauler Jack Cooper. Over the past 40 years or so, Ford has leaned on auto transport company known as Jack Cooper. Everybody knows who Jack Cooper is. To move its vehicles around the past 40 years, serving as its second largest customer behind only crosstown rival GM. So this is a big deal for Jack Cooper. And shockingly, Jack Cooper sent an internal memo to its employees recently informing them that Ford has terminating its contract with the company, which will reportedly lead to layoffs. The memo says that this notice from Ford was unexpected and constitutes an unforeseen business and operational emergency, as well as the first notice Jack Cooper received that any of the work provided would not continue. You are hereby notified as an affected employee that the position of employment you have held with Jack Cooper shall be terminated. And they did give notice because this is effective February 2nd. And it's expected to be permanent. It's unclear why Ford made this decision, which is reportedly not due to performance issues, though some speculated it could have something to do with the fact that most Jack Cooper employees are part of a Teamsters union. Allegations the Blue Oval has denied. Ford has reportedly already lined up alternative haulers, and for now, at least, isn't willing to explain the reasoning behind the change. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's plenty of other companies you can go with. We do not comment on our tracks or relationships with individual suppliers. We manage supplier relationships in line with our sourcing strategy, designed to enable us to best serve our customers. Sure doesn't sound like a 40-year relationship, but that's the way it works. A source close to the decision told Automotive Logistics that Ford may have been concerned about Jack Cooper's finances, implying the company may have been facing financial distress. O'Brien, general president of the Teamsters Union, went on to say that they urged Ford to reverse its decision and said it is prepared to use the full force of the union to defend its members and their jobs. Automotive Logistics in-house automotive analyst Daniel Harrison said the move highlights wider logistics cost pressures being witnessed as the Teamster unionized Jack Cooper is likely to be more expensive than alternative non-unionized 3PLs Ford will now deploy. I think there's only one other major auto transport company that is unionized. So, yeah, the cost chips may be stacked against you. Harrison added, in terms of Jack Cooper's immediate prospects, their major finished vehicle logistics clients were Ford, GM, and Stellantis, and the loss of a major client like Ford means there's a very real prospect of major job losses, restructuring, or potentially even bankruptcy. And this won't be the first time for Jack Cooper. Goes on to talk more about past bankruptcy situation. Harrison added that Ford's move also highlights the risk of mergers and acquisitions to grow fleet capacity, as it was only in 2023 Jack Cooper acquired more transport in its 240 car carrier trucks, which signals, take a look at Proficient Auto Logistics, PAL. We'll be talking about that more. This move was meant to significantly enhance Jack Cooper's footprint along the East Coast within the Midwest region. More Transport's CEO had previously owned multiple Ford dealerships in Texas and Oklahoma before starting his company. Jack Cooper had also attempted to acquire LTL provider Yellow, but Jack Cooper dropped its bid for Yellow 8 months after filing in April 24 after a lack of engagement from Yellow. There was a lot of bidders, to be sure. Hey, Carvana gains another $4 billion in financing through Ally. Okay, sounds great. While the online retailer is facing much criticism and serious allegations from the investment community, I'd say more than that, Carvana gained more resources from one of its key financing providers, reads the headline. Carvana revealed in a filing with the SEC on Monday amended the second amended restated master purchase and sale agreement with Ally Financial. Carvana said in a filing that, among other things, it's a move to reestablish a commitment by Ally to purchase up to $4 billion in automotive finance receivables. Ally's going to purchase up to $4 billion of automotive finance receivables. Is that money they didn't collect? $4 billion worth of it? Bookmark that. The development arrived such a short time after a scathing report on Hindenburg Research, which specializes in forensic financial research. The report is accusing Carvana of engaging in deceptive financial practices, including questionable accounting and undisclosed loans to a related party amounting to $800 million. The report highlights risks like auto loan underwriting practices, failing vehicle prices, rising subprime loan delinquencies. Hang on. And Carvana gets back to Megasite business with the addition of Atlanta. I think that's its fifth Megasite. The online used retailer announces plans to open its latest integrated auction reconditioning center in Fairburn, Georgia. It is the fifth Megasite. ADESA KC, ADESA Houston, ADESA Vegas, ADESA Boston, and now ADESA Atlanta. This facility adds inspection reconditioning center capabilities while maintaining all digital in-lane wholesale auction operations. The integrated site builds Carvana's overall production capacity, enhances the company's offerings for local retail and wholesale customers. The auction site covers more than 100 acres and includes almost 12,000 parking spaces, has served wholesale customers for more than 30 years. And we know what 30-year and 40-year relationships can end up like in the headlines. Having said that, Hindenburg Research report. If you didn't read it, don't worry. ATI is here for you. It states, the title, Carvana, a father-son accounting grift for the ages. Carvana, a $44 billion online car dealer founded in 2012. Despite facing bankruptcy and risks in 2022-2023, Carvana stock spiked 284% in 2024. But wait, upon further review, Carvana has relied on a purchase commitment agreement with Ally, to which it sold $3.6 billion of vehicle loans in 2023, 60% of its total originations. Without this, how do I say this delicately? Without that money, it's hard to know what cliff they were facing. Allegedly, it's all speculation. It's a question somebody asked. Moving on. Sony Honda Mobility's direct-to-consumer model. Wait, Sony Honda Mobility is going to sell vehicles direct to consumers? Can you do that? Sony Honda Mobility will bypass U.S. auto dealers to sell its first vehicle from its new automotive brand, Afeela. The joint venture from Sony and Honda announced its plan to forego using a conventional dealer network to distribute its midsize electric sedan. They announced it during CES 2025 Expo. What about the subpoenas? We are taking a direct consumer approach to simplify the customer experience and enhance your satisfaction, said Sony Honda. All processes from reservations to sales are taken care of through our website, like all other e-transactions today. The company is following the footsteps of EV startups Tesla, Rivian, and Lucid, who circumvented traditional auto dealers in favor of online sales and retail locations. Does the NADA know about this? Scout Motors, which was backed by VW, recently announced its intention to sell its EVs directly to consumers, but that sparked major criticism from VW dealers in California, saying they violated state franchise laws. I mean, everybody started going crazy. NADA, what's this really all about? Having cows, throwing fits. The NADA is determined to challenge Scout Motors' direct sale strategy to preserve the traditional 100-year-old dealership model. You can't sell direct to the consumer. That's crazy talk. Oh, but VW Scout grabs US EV market share with over 50,000 vehicle reservations. VW is positioning the brand to become a key player in the competitive US EV market. On the same channel where the NADA and the other IDAs and ADAs were all... it seems this is pretty fascinating. I wonder what will happen. VW acquired Scout, a historical American brand from the 60s, through a acquisition deal with Navistar, known for its rugged off-road vehicles. Scout has a long following since the 60s, reviving the brand. Tap into nostalgia while leveraging modern EV technology to appeal to today's consumers. What, don't you believe in America? No, Jay. You can't say these things. Also, in other news, CFPB targets Experian via lawsuit over credit report errors. No way. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau suing Experian, claiming the nationwide consumer reporting agency is unlawfully failing to properly investigate consumer disputes. According to a news release, CFPB alleges that Experian does not take sufficient steps to intake, process, investigate, and notify consumers about consumer disputes, resulting in the inclusion of incorrect information on credit reports. CFPB's lawsuit seeks to stop the company's unlawful conduct to provide redress for harmed consumers. Vehicle transaction platform Caramel acquired by eBay. eBay is acquiring an end-to-end online auto transaction platform. In an agreement, Caramel's tech provides a secure, seamless digital transaction. I'm not going to read the rest of it, but it seems like a kind of a direct play. You know, you see Amazon Autos, now eBay acquiring Caramel. It was all in the works before I read it, but pretty interesting. But wait, you can't sell direct to consumers. You got to go through dealerships. It's a 100-year-old tradition, Jay. Ford creates tool that helps sell more EV pickups and vans by determining if going electric makes sense. Oh my gosh, you can determine if EV makes sense? No way. That's a great idea. Well, you can do it in Europe, and they're bringing it to the US. It's called e-switch assist. And it's not just one button that says, make sure you go EV. It's actually going to take you through the steps. Are you carrying feathers or bowling balls? What environment are you traveling in? Maybe it's not for you. That's crazy. Tesla could see $1 billion windfall from EU emissions pool. What? Tesla could collect more than $1 billion in compensation from rival automakers that need help meeting tougher pollution standards in the European Union. Wow. Man, you got to get on the right side of the law. You can make a ton of money. Tesla will pool the fleet of EVs to sell this year with at least 5 other manufacturers: Stellantis, Toyota, Ford, Mazda, Subaru. The arrangement allows automakers to average out their emissions of their fleets. You could have some real guzzlers, but, you know, as long as it averages out. While with those selling fewer EVs, compensating companies such as Tesla are below the EU limit for CO2 emissions. Amazing stuff. Man, that guy's making so much money. He's going to hit $1 trillion. ATI is where everyone learns more about automotive industry. New, used, dealer auction, etc. We don't ship cars, we move information. We got a lawsuit to cover, so check the podcast. Contact us at atiautobusiness.com. There's way too much to go through. It's almost 20 minutes in. Do me a favor, stick around. Right after this, we're going to go into this lawsuit. I'm going to keep it moving. Then we've got the objective lawsuit review panel. Wow, really? Be right back.
Transport Auto Quoter is by far the leading auto quoting software on the market, and the only auto quoter with a pro version that comes preset with accurate pricing for anywhere in the U.S. So you don't have to worry about it. The best part is that no change with your current software is needed. Just plug TAQ in and start booking jobs. Carriers can easily plug TAQ into their current websites and start making money right away. I bet you're wondering how we do this instantly and accurately 24/7. Well, constant analytics is the key. Our Price Watch team is constantly monitoring current market conditions, paying close attention to seasonal and quick-moving industry changes. At the end of the day, it takes a lot of time and data to maintain good pricing, time that most of us just don't have on a daily basis. So free yourself up. Using TAQ Pro is really a no-brainer. Save time and money, maximizing your leads and optimizing your online investments. You'll finally be able to sleep well at night knowing that TAQ is on the job selling for you 24/7. Never missing a potential job.
Are you completely stressed out from all the calls and the contracts and the verifications of loads where nobody ever answers the phone? Call Murphy Auto Dispatch Services today. Murphy Auto Dispatch Services has over 15 years in the transport industry. We are your office while you are on the road. We book, we verify, and we bill out your loads for you. We have an excellent accounting staff and an even better dispatch team. Give us a call today at 417-273-0021, or if you want to email me, it's murphyautotransport31@yahoo.com. Give us a call today.
Need a faster way to move vehicles? Draver has you covered. Whether you're an OEM, fleet, rental company, or a dealership, Draver's network of 20,000 contract drivers gets vehicles moved 75% faster. From valet services to delivery, repositioning, and auction moves, Draver handles it all. With insurance coverage and expert support, your logistics are in good hands. Ready to try? With the Draver Now app, testing out Draver services is simple. Download the app today, request a move, and experience how Draver can transform your logistics. Or contact us today to learn about our full suite of services.
How do you move a fleet of rental cars to different locations on the fly and you've only got 4 to 8 hours? You need a shockingly fast nationwide vehicle relocation platform. Visit Draver.com. Links are in the live chat. All right, here we go. So here's what we're gonna do. Panel, do me a favor. Stick around. I'm gonna do the lawsuit. I'm gonna read the lawsuit, and then we're gonna crank up the panel. I'm gonna stay just in industry news mode while I do this. So stay tuned. Here we go. This is the lawsuit. It is case number 324CV008879. It was filed December 9th. It's 37 pages, but I'm not going to go through all 37. I don't need to. I got about 13 slides that summarize everything. TEKION CORP versus CDK GLOBAL in the U.S. District Court, Northern District of California. Complaint for damages and for injunctive and declaratory relief. I'm not a lawyer. This is public information. On page 2, Auto Dealership Management Systems, DMS, are sophisticated, specialized software products that are mission critical for franchise, i.e. new car dealerships. Nationwide, approximately 18,000 franchise dealerships rely on DMS to conduct all essential operations and for legal and regulatory compliance. DMS providers are stewards of their customers, the dealers' essential data, the historical and daily information on which DMS operate and without which dealers cannot function. Plaintiff TEKION CORP, TEKION, brings this action to put a stop to defendant CDK Global LLC's CDK, unlawful and anti-competitive conduct in the DMS market for franchise dealerships in the United States. CDK is the incumbent industry giant in the DMS market for franchise dealers. Its share of this market is approximately 60% by revenue, and its share of the sub-market for large enterprise franchise dealers in the United States is even greater. But its product has fallen behind the capabilities of 21st century technology and franchise dealership needs. Suddenly faced with competition for providers of superior modern DMS like TEKION, CDK attempts to maintain its dominant position in the market through unlawful, anti-competitive practices intended to prevent and discourage franchise dealerships from switching to an alternative DMS provider. This harms competition in the DMS market for franchise dealers, and it harms both franchise dealers and the car buying public. Among many other functions, a DMS enables dealerships to perform all aspects of inventory management, sales and finance, customer relationship management, service and parts operations, accounting and reporting, legal and regulatory compliance, and integration with data and access. A DMS operates on dealership data, both historical and generated during daily operations, which comprises the entire record of a dealership's past and present business. Information that franchise dealerships must submit to original equipment manufacturers, OEMs. Although dealer data resides on systems owned and controlled by the DMS provider, the data unambiguously belongs to the dealer. Some states have passed laws codifying dealership ownership of the data and ensuring dealer control over it. CDK has opposed and challenged such laws, reflecting its strategy to control the franchise DMS market through control of dealer data. Barriers to entry into the franchise DMS market are high. A DMS is a complex, purpose-built platform. A DMS must be integrated with every OEM, there are over 40, and with several other third-party providers. Because dealers rely on their DMS for every daily function, they are understandably cautious about switching to a new provider in the rare case that one comes along. CDK unfairly exploits these inherent barriers to competition in the DMS market by introducing additional obstacles that dealers have no choice but to accept, thus raising the costs for new entrants like TEKION. The needs of auto dealerships have changed with the advent of new technology that enables greater automation, integration, data keeping, and customer service possibilities. Barry Cohen, the Vice President and Chief Information Officer, CIO of Asbury Automotive Group, a Fortune 500 company and one of the largest franchise auto retailers in the United States, recently explained to a Georgia court that today's dealerships rely on DMS for almost everything. He described CDK's DMS as antiquated. California-based TEKION entered the franchise DMS market in 2016 to address these needs because TEKION's DMS was built natively on the cloud rather than, like CDK's, for individual on-premises or hosted installation. It provides dealerships with several significant advantages, including regular real-time updates and enhancements that do not require significant downtime or manual installation. TEKION's DMS also offers the power of new technology like data analytics, machine learning, and AI. TEKION's modern DMS poses a significant competitive threat to CDK's position in the DMS market for franchise dealers, and CDK is well aware of that threat. In January 2024, TEKION announced a partnership with Asbury, which has approximately 158 dealerships across 15 states. Mr. Cohen testified that it will replace not only CDK, but 15 other vendors that we have. So there's a bunch of bolt-ons, stovepipes that will go away. It'll make us very efficient. It'll make it easy to train new employees, but the guest experience will be truly amazing. Because CDK knows that its legacy product cannot compete with modern entrants, it has been attempting to entrench and perpetuate its market power through other anti-competitive means. For example, in 2018, the FTC challenged CDK's unlawful and anti-competitive acquisition of Automate, an innovative, disruptive challenger in the DMS space, for a price that was far in excess of its original standalone valuation, to rid itself of the competition. As CDK touted, we're so serious about acquiring new customers that we bought the DMS that has been kicking our butts. In Exhibit A, at line 54. CDK dropped the acquisition after the FTC's challenge. CDK's most frequent anti-competitive practice has been to abuse its ability to control access to the data belonging to franchise dealerships. Franchise dealerships that decide to move from one DMS provider to another must have meaningful access to their data sufficiently in advance of the move, typically several months, to validate and integrate their data in the new DMS. The actual switch to a new DMS happens in an instant, usually at the stroke of midnight, after which the new DMS becomes the sole system of record for the dealership. Without the validation period, a move could cause massive disruption to daily operations and significant legal and regulatory risk. The negative impacts of such disruptions can be devastating, as a recent ransomware attack on CDK demonstrated. This widely publicized attack deprived the thousands of franchise dealerships that use CDK of access to their DMS and, consequently, to their essential data. Over just 4 weeks, this disruption is estimated to have cost those dealers over $1 billion. Faced with a threat to its dominance, CDK uses various anti-competitive and unlawful tactics to prevent dealers in California and elsewhere from gaining timely access to their own data. These tactics include forcing dealerships to work exclusively through CDK to access and transfer the dealership's own data, restricting dealerships to a rudimentary CDK self-help tool that provides incomplete data in an irregular and unusable format, refusing to commit to or honor a reliable data transfer schedule, including by pretextually terminating CDK service with insufficient time and access to the dealership data, and threatening and then instituting legal action against those, like Asbury, who seek to switch to competitors. CDK has become a captor rather than steward of its customers' data. As an example, Asbury recently was forced to seek judicial intervention just to obtain its own data from CDK for purposes of conducting a 4-dealership pilot program with Tekion's DMS platform. On August 29, 2024, a Georgia state court issued a preliminary injunction ordering CDK to provide Tekion with the data needed for the 4 dealerships. Tekion's pilot program with Asbury is a critical opportunity for Tekion to demonstrate its superior technology not only to Asbury, a major customer crucial to Tekion's success as a newcomer, but to the entire industry. Tekion's success with Asbury could change the DMS market for franchise dealers. Other franchise dealership groups that currently use CDK as their DMS provider, including Doral Automotive Group, Regal Automotive Group, Lou Baccarat Auto Mall, and Action Nissan Inc., DBA Universal Nissan, Universal Hyundai, and Universal Genesis, collectively Universal, have also contracted for Tekion's DMS. CDK has held these groups' data hostage in one form or another, thwarting competition in the franchise DMS market and harming the dealers and, by extension, the car-buying public. In addition, CDK's unfair and unlawful conduct has interfered with and delayed Tekion's ability to meet contractual obligations, including launch dates for several dealer groups. And they have immediate negative financial impacts on Tekion by raising Tekion's costs of competing with CDK. Tekion typically collects the great majority of its implementation fees on the date on which its DMS actually launches at a dealership, and it collects no subscription fees at all until that launch date. Moreover, because of the substantial lead time and planning required for a franchise dealership to switch DMS solutions, it is difficult for Tekion to obtain a substitute dealership for a reserved slot, such that the resources that Tekion allocated for the launch go to waste. CDK's conduct constitutes a violation of Section 2 of the Sherman Act for monopolization or attempted monopolization of the franchise DMS market in the United States, tortious interference with Tekion's contractual and prospective economic relations with Asbury and other dealerships, and unfair competition under California's unfair competition law. CDK's conduct has harmed and will continue to harm competition and injure Tekion, including through Tekion's loss of goodwill, reputation, market share, revenue, and profits. It also harms franchise dealers and the consumers whom they serve. Accordingly, Tekion brings this action to seek damages and injunctive relief to redress and prevent CDK's unlawful, unfair, and anti-competitive conduct. I'm going to go ahead and add the panel now. I'm going to take a break for a second. I'm going to open up the live chat. I wouldn't imagine there's much happening in the live chat. Here we go, panel. I'm going to crank this up. Please do join and what I'll do is I'll continue to go through the other points that I've got here. I think it's really compelling information. And I think that, I think it's an incredible case, especially when you put it all together. Here we go. Here comes the panel. David, can you see me and hear me okay?
Loud and clear. Good to see you, Jay. How's everything going?
Okay. Good to see you, David. I've been reading quite a bit here. And what I wanted to do is, so we've got Mark and Aaron should be joining as well anytime now. And in fact,
Okay.
you know what? I think they're already here, and I need to let them in. Here we go.
Oh.
Let's Mark and Aaron. And before I jump into the document, okay, it's good to see you. How are you? Okay. So you know what? I kind of preempted what I was doing. Hey, Mark, how you doing?
I'm good, Jay. Can you hear me?
I can see you, Mark. Aaron, can you see me and hear me okay?
I can see you loud and clear. All
right, great. Were you all able to follow some of what I just read? Did you hear some of that?
Oh, I heard all of it. I have a lot to say. I'll tell you.
Okay, great. I'm going to hit pause. Kick us off, Aaron. What are you thinking?
Well, I think CDK should hire me as an expert witness. So what I'm trying to do is separate the real claim that TEKION can have from a lot of BS. And there's a lot of whining going on. You know, TEKION, I understand. I'm all for people nipping at the heels of the big competitor coming in. I was that person nipping at the heels at one point entering the TMS space. So I get it. And the one thing the CDK could be doing, the real claim that TEKION would potentially have there is CDK is holding customer data hostage. Customer data is owned by the customer. This happens all the time during a migration. The customer needs to get their data to go to the next company, right? And there's processes for that place. There's two different processes. One, the customer can get that data themselves. They can pull it down, import it, whatever they need to do. Or the vendor will help them send it all in one big zip file or different spreadsheets or different databases or whatever the next company is going to need, and they provide it. So my first question is CDK doing that? Is CDK not allowing them to download the data? Is CDK not helping themselves with providing that data to the customer? And if you read between the lines of that lawsuit, TEKION themselves is admitting that they are. They're just complaining about it. They're saying that that tool sucks, basically. I'm paraphrasing. Or they are insisting that they help. What's wrong with that? Let them help. Let them send the data. So the rest of it is a bunch of like, we're better. We're great. We're cutting edge. We're cloud based. They're desktop based. They suck. You know, we should have the right to compete. Well, you know, put on your big boy pants and do a better job. They have institutional knowledge with the OEMs, and they're ahead of us. So they're using that institutional knowledge, like, you know, gain advantage. All right, call some of the OEMs, go to shows, build relationships. Send them a bottle of liquor during Christmas. Do whatever you got to do. I mean, that's business. So I'm just hearing a lot of whining. If I'm trying to find something that might be a smoking gun, I'm almost reading between the lines and thinking that CDK, now, devil is in the details. I got to look at CDK is pulling some shit, you know. This whole smoking gun of, like, they said we bought the company, you know, because they're a competitor. People do that all the time. It's anti-monopoly, and we're talking about a DMS. We're not talking about, you know, jet engines. We're not talking about the whole car industry, right? We're not talking about Google. Like, come on, like anti-monopoly. Like seriously, I don't really think this is a Sherman Act level thing. So I reserve, you know, 1% skepticism. There might be something devil's in the detail, but this is going to get thrown out. This is, to me, just sounds like they're losing and they're sad.
Okay, wow, incredible. So are you saying? Are you saying that you're kind of siding with CDK?
Yeah, I mean, listen, CDK. I'm not saying I'm not promoting CDK. That cyber breach is inexcusable. I think TEKION is being smart business. They're kicking someone when they're down. They know they could probably. You know, these guys have a $120 million claim against them for cyber breach. I'm not saying they're a good company, but I'm saying TEKION should win this battle by being a good software company themselves. That's what the rest of us have to do. I didn't go sue Magnus, sue Cargotel when I was entering the marketplace. I'm sorry.
Okay, let's bring it. And I just want to say this too. This is great, David and Mark. You're doing a great job holding your tongue. For a second? I just want to say this context. See, none of you guys work in dealership space, right?
A little bit. We white label. We adapted the TMS for Napleton.
Okay.
We call
are
it.
You going?
So
are you going?
But not really. It's not really our core.
Right. Are you going to NADA to get more dealer and vendor customers?
No. It's really not not our folks. Not our strategy.
Nobody here is going to NADA.
No.
Okay. See, anybody at NADA and trying to get business cannot say anything about this because they're siding and they think it'll cost them business. So this is the objective panel because none of us have anything to lose or gain from TEKION or CDK or Reynolds and Reynolds for that matter. Yeah. Now there are only so many DMS providers, but the biggest are CDK, TEKION, and Reynolds and Reynolds. And you did see there was an antitrust lawsuit that Reynolds and Reynolds settled, but CDK has not settled yet. So there's a ding there. Yeah, the hacker thing in July is unfortunate, right? But, okay, here, I'm going to ask you this, Aaron. Did Cargotel or Magnus hold data from a company that wanted to work with you?
No, and I never held data.
Okay, but that's what they're doing allegedly here.
But where they're if you like you bring up the paragraph again, they said the tool to download it is slow, it sucks, whatever. And then they said that the CDK sometimes insists on being involved in providing the data. Where is the where's the work stoppage here? Yeah,
so I'm not sure which page, and this is where going through these things is hard, you know. And I sent you guys copies.
For witness, I can tell. I'm in the middle of this stuff all the time. I can smell bullshit. I'm telling you. I see what's going on here.
Okay, so now I sent you guys a copy of the lawsuit. Not that it's good times to go through. This one's meaty. I've never seen a complaint this meaty. It is paragraph. Anyways, while you're studying that, and you may want to check your PDF offline. Mark or David, do you want to chime in?
I think the only thing on my end is, from my understanding, I didn't get to read through the entire document that you sent, but I feel like the customer is the one that loses in all of this, right? Like if these are legacy systems and they're holding data hostage, I don't know what that end experience is like for someone that's trying to purchase a car, and where there's bottlenecks because of these legacy systems. Like I've seen it with TMS providers quite often, where just making the system more enhanceable or extendable so that the data integrates more easily with other tools. But they don't want to do that because they don't want to play nice with others, because there's a potential risk for losing customers. So I don't know. I think it's unfortunate. But yeah, I'll pass it over to Mark or Aaron if you guys want to add more commentary.
I think TEKION, to me, it looked like technology was more advanced. Am I misunderstanding that? Because that's what I see. And the other question, Jay, I had, how many DMS providers are there for the auto transport industry or for the dealership industry?
So it's, I think it's similar to auto transport in that you got a few bigs.
Yeah.
CDK, Reynolds and Reynolds, TEKION. And TEKION's the new, 2016. And really, before this lawsuit, like last year at NADA, TEKION was like, oh, it's TEKION. It's this amazing new thing. So it is supposed to be amazing. It isn't just, some little thing. But then there are other smaller guys like Fraser, and where they're more boutique. Again, like in auto transport, you have kind of more boutique shops that aren't the bigs. But their customers love what they do.
I think what a hard industry to get in. It's crazy what those DMSs provide, and it's like I think in a previous broadcast said it's the backbone, but it is really the heartbeat of an industry. There is so much involved with that, from parts to repair, the maintenance, the sales, the CRM portion of the business, the being able to keep up with the compliance of the taxes. Like, we're in a pretty unusual area, a tri-state area, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky. A dealership, I'm sure, has to comply with all the taxes of somebody buys a car. They have to keep up with the taxes of what county that person just bought the car in, and it may be the next state. It could be a different state. So just the complexity of that, and I'm thinking the CRM and the auto transport industry's, hard enough. It's like, oh my gosh, I see everything that those DMSs could do, and I'm like, hats off to them, because that is some pretty impressive stuff, really, I think.
Yeah. Well, you're not wrong. That's exactly right. I mean, that is, getting into TMS is hard, but getting into DMS with tens of thousands of dealers is even harder. And it sounds like, what I read is that CDK is purposefully and intentionally, I'm reading this is an opinion, that they are doing what TEKION is alleging, and they're doing it willfully, and they're doing it to increase the expense, to raise the barrier, to wear them out, to get their customers to stay. I mean, kicking and screaming. So, Aaron, when I read kicking and screaming, I'm reading it in the other direction.
So, well, the first thing, I agree with everything David and Mark saying. I mean, it is bad for the customer. That's a shame. And Mark's, I don't know TEKION specifically, but I believe TEKION might very well be a superior product. They're newer, they're cloud-based, et cetera. And I'll make the argument that ClearPath TMS is a superior product to Magnus Carvana. But if I go to some customer that's been with Carvana and knows Carvana and been with them for 10 years, I'm going to have trouble having them switch to me. Change, nobody likes change. Change management is the toughest part here. Nobody wants to spend the time to migrate to a new system. It's scary. And a lot of software like this can be sticky like that. The key is, as a software provider myself, the key is to not sit on your laurels that way, not take that for granted, because eventually people will switch. So you have to do the R&D. You have to stay ahead of the game. CDK sounds like they're doing a very bad job. I'm not gonna defend them. But at the same time, you said it yourself, Jay. You said, this is a lot of stuff. This is hard. Yes, it is. It is a lot of stuff. It is hard. Sorry, TEKION, it's hard. You're gonna have to work really hard to pick this customers, because software like this is sticky. You decide to get into the SaaS space. This is what the SaaS space is about. Doesn't mean the government should come along and just walk the other customers over to you for nothing. You got to fight for them. Now, if they're doing something where there's a smoking gun, I'm still not seeing it. I'm looking at this PDF, right? So specifically, I'm going to put on my reading glasses here. They said CDK continued to refuse transfer of the data, directing Ashbury to obtain the data itself through an inadequate customer self-help tool. Now, inadequate, that's the key word there. Is it really inadequate? If someone calls me and says, I can provide the best self-help tool to download all the ClearPath data. Someone comes to me and says, I don't want to, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm bad at computers. I'm not comfortable clicking all these buttons. I don't know what a spreadsheet is. I want you to do it. And you say, well, that's going to be X hours of work, and we don't know, how exact format you're going to need for the other customer. That's their job. We don't know how you want to split out. We don't know how many users you want to go back. Do you want everything? Maybe the new vendor doesn't want everything. There's a lot of elements here. It's going to take us some time. We're going to talk with you and everything. Maybe we're going to charge for it, whatever. But that self-help tool is great. I don't know what that discussion was. Like, obviously, if it's truly inadequate, and if CDK refused to do it any other way but without any other way besides that help tool, then that's an argument. But it's strange that none of that details there. They don't mention like that tool's crashing or is limited to XYZ. There's no details there. Inadequate. That's very suspicious that they have a simple little adjective there as a proxy to all this useful. This is a big PDF. Where's the detail there? Why is that self-help tool inadequate? I am telling you, being in this industry and doing this for a long time, I can sniff this out. I don't think that self-help tools is inadequate as a necessarily. I mean, my instincts are telling me that if you know what you're doing, you could use that self-help tool. And the self-help tool clearly crashed and there's a smoking gun that it's not working. they would step in and provide that data. So unless I see a smoking gun, something explicit proof, which is ample room to provide that proof in this document, I'm suspicious. I'm skeptical. I really am.
I love it. I love your counterpoint. This is amazing, Aaron. This is why I wanted to make sure you could join us. To me, if let's say I'm on the jury, and that's really what this is. This is it's like a rehearsal. You know that there is they do rehearsal, trial, practice, all that stuff. Get some feedback, take a look. What would jurors really think? To me, that's kind of what the show is. This is a practice run. What do you know, because you guys are completely objective. You do know about software, but not in this space. And Aaron, I think you raised some good points. What I think is really, and I think CDK would do well to take some notes from what you said. For what I think is really damaging is this. That a judge instructed CDK to transfer Asbury data to TEKION. Like, why did that have to happen? What were you guys doing to where a judge had to instruct? What an instruction, by the way. Okay, come on, kids. Give them the data.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
what?
I think it sounds to me like Asbury wanted TEKION to have the information because they're going to switch systems. CDK obviously doesn't want that to happen, throwing up roadblocks the whole way. And Asbury, a very big dealer group,
huge,
very, very big. Like they're everywhere. They buy big dealership corporations in marketplaces that control that. And if they want to switch over their information, it shouldn't be a challenge. It should not be a challenge. They should not. I think that they should have free access to their information so they can make that change. All that information, the customers that come into the dealership, the customers that come in for maintenance, the customers that come in to purchase additional parts, they should have all of that information so they can market the sales, the marketing to the customers. All of that information should be available for them. And if there is a mechanism for them to retrieve that data themselves, and they're not able to do that, and I'm sure that TEKION is somebody from TEKION is helping Asbury look at their system and saying, okay, let's try to retrieve this data so we can put it in so we can start migrating you over to this system. And they're not able to do that. And somebody calls CDK and goes, hey, I need some help here. How do I get all my customer information over to this to a spreadsheet so I can import it over here? I want to import it somewhere, and I know as a software provider that I hate hearing somebody ask me, hey, how do I get my data so I can Aaron knows
you got to do it. Yeah.
Aaron knows too. And we're very
tool.
helpful. If somebody wants to do that, we are very helpful.
Yes.
And we'll give it to them how they want it. We'll show them where it is. There is some things that they can do to initiate that themselves. It's there. If they need help with it, we'll help. In the same respect, we want the same opportunity when we want to bring somebody over from another platform. We want the same opportunity. And sometimes that is very challenging.
Mark, do you think there's this other, I'm doing my best to read between the lines, because obviously this is we're not seeing any reply from CDK. We're seeing the original filing. So it's basically the plaintiff's side of the story. The CDK, I'm reading, this is paragraph 43. CDK said, TEKION's claim that CDK continue to refuse to give, this is with Universal, not specifically TEKION, but they're using it as an example, refuse to give Universal its own data for almost 2.5 additional months, seeking to delay release of the data until the last day of the term. I'm wondering if the case there is that because the data was still live, that the data wouldn't be viable for the migration if it's altered. So if you understand as a software provider, if I'm giving out the data today on January 14th, and they make a lot of changes to that data over the next 2 weeks, and then they go live February 1st, that January 14th data is now old. It's going to have problems. Yep. So it seems like the smart thing to do is to do that data transfer on the day that they go live, like that final data transfer. Now, of course, you want to give the data transfer.
You have to give them some opportunity to run the system and to make sure that it's going to work for them.
Right, of course.
They want so they can integrate and continue to do that. There's some transition of I need everything now. Let me work with it.
Right.
Let me bring new customers in. I'll put new customers in, and maybe on both systems. There has to be a period of time where they're using both systems, which is probably difficult because.
Right, and it's in the complaint is talking about that time, and you can imagine. I mean, you need a bunch of time.
Right. And
2 weeks, like Aaron said, 2 weeks is a tremendous amount of time.
All they need to do is prove that migration tool doesn't work. It's as simple as that, because that's the smoking gun, because that prevented them. That's like, I don't know the exact legal term. Not a
I think if it worked, CDK would help Ashbury retrieve their information, and a judge wouldn't have to step in and say, "Hey, I'm telling you to make that work. Give it to them how they have to."
Yeah, I agree. The only defense I can see there is CDK gave something, but the TEKION or Universal or whoever is on the other side of this felt it was inadequate or not. Because a lot of the time between software vendors, there could be that type of tug of war over what one needs. The other one has a different opinion. But if there is outright ignoring, they can prove that they're outright ignoring requests to send out their own customer data. Yeah, that's an open and shut case. That's customer data. They own the rights to that. I don't know what the specific contract says. Our contracts certainly say very clearly that's customer data.
It's your data.
So,
it's my data.
Of course.
Right. And this is, I think, what makes this case so interesting. Is we haven't heard the end of whose data is it?
Yeah.
I think there's case law on that it is.
It's customer data,
and there has to be. David's chomping at the bit. David.
Yeah, well, no, I was just thinking because there's so many, similar, examples that I think of where it's kind of like if you're living in. Sorry, my dog is losing his mind. It's kind of like if you're living in a house and the landlord's charging you extra to access your home, like that. It just wouldn't make sense, and I think it's just really more of an ethical thing. And the other half of this is that I think we're splitting the line between kind of like the legalese and then the technology. So I don't know what inadequate means in this context. Like, how do you define that the software is inadequate? If they say, hey, we're working on it, we just haven't gotten there yet, is that inadequate in a legal sense, but not in a product sense? Like, it just doesn't work, but we're, I'm not saying anyone's incompetent.
I think
I want to say this.
Inadequate could be what the customer wants.
I want to say this, given the amount of time, patience, mind space, what I read was more of the summary. What I haven't gone into is the pages and pages of description, detail, and case.
Yeah.
And I mean, for my money, this is not a frivolous lawsuit. You've got headline news and details and dealerships. I mean, there's a problem here.
It's just the legal threshold, and of course I'm not a lawyer, is there's one thing where if CDK would have to purposely be withholding data and they have to prove it. The tool being inadequate or not being like aggregated the way they want exactly, and like those type of things. My skepticism stemmed
They need the memo that says, don't let them have it.
As I read more details,
Right.
There's definitely two sides of the story, clearly. My skepticism stems from the whole, hey, we're better, and like, why is that even entering into the argument? Like, what is the civil crime, so to speak, that CDK did, and get your judgment based on that. When you're kind of waxing on poetic about how awesome you are and how CDK sucks and all that, I think it diminishes your argument. I think it adds a lot of unnecessary fluff to the argument.
I found it. There's a sticky. It says access denied. I found the sticky attached to my complaint. That's what they need.
Well, and I think one of the other things that you mentioned, Jay, when you were going through the document, is it just a formatting issue? Like if I give you your data in binary code, is that good enough? It sucks for you to deal with and have.
Do you think they've tried that? We gave it to them in hieroglyphs on tablets, Your Honor.
I would rule against them if they did hieroglyphs or binary.
What is all that? Oh, they're rolling in the hieroglyphs. We've got cuneiform coming next.
Can't translate cuneiform? Come on.
Well, that's not our problem, sir.
Not a data analyst, are you?
We gave it to them in cuneiform.
If that is adequate,
I mean,
right? It's a sticky subject. It really is. It's a slippery slope.
And maybe this is where the marketing war really comes in, is to just continue to bash.
There you go. That's what I think is happening. That's what I think is happening.
Yeah.
I feel like that's more what's happening. I just don't really see the real claim here, unless CDK is really stupid. Like they really literally.
But that is possible, right?
Holding the customer data hostage, which is just disgusting. If that's what they're doing.
You had a judge tell them they had to give it to them. So there's something there.
That's the most damning evidence.
Yeah,
it is.
I mean, who knows what's going to happen?
Really, it took a judge.
Who knows who knows that judge is? Who knows how good?
I know. Hey, and that's exactly
they
right.
had the information and they could use
Jack
it.
Smith just resigned, so it had nothing to do. Yeah, I know.
The judge wouldn't need to get involved if they could import whatever in whatever format they gave them.
Good point.
Import the information. If they could use the information, a judge wouldn't have had to get involved.
Mark makes a great point.
I think that's the distinction, though, right? Because Jay, when you talk about when you were reading through the line of formatted properly and structured properly, there's a difference between I just give you the data and I can actually do something with the data. So if it's just this long file, like Aaron mentioned, like a zip file, and it's just continuous characters.
Yeah.
What does someone do with that? Is that enough? Is that adequate? So I think there's a balance between product and technological capability, and then the legal definition of what is adequate, what is structured. And I think that
has to be usable. It has to be usable. They have to be able to take their information and use it to put it over here.
By a competent technology person on their side. And I just want to jump back real quick. Mark made an excellent point. That's a great point about that previous case, because this is something that would have got settled on courthouse steps. Mark has got a good point. If it really got to the point where that final judgment day, and these cases get settled all through the progression of them, they never would have got to the judge's ruling if CDK, unless they really felt the only, I'm kind of conjuring up scenarios here. It's all hypothetical at this point, but I guess I could see a scenario where they were acting reasonable and they provided decent data, gave them ways to do it, and TEKION, or was TEKION the no, it was Universal, basically argued the case better, and now CDK had to come in and really do it, watching their dotting their I's, crossing their T's, and had to actually do it in a more burdensome way to CDK than if they just went the extra mile, better customer service all along. Again, I think at that point, my skepticism is going the other way now. I'm guessing CDK explicitly did something that there's just no possible way for Universal to get that data, and that's why the judge had to make that ruling. And you're right, Mark. Right before that happened, they could have just provided the data and saved themselves the trouble. Now they're under court order, which has to be a bunch of bad things happen as a result of that. They just gave the data. They're not under court order now. They're moving more freely. That's a better position.
And
yeah,
this
just
is
doing a quick Google search, it looks like it at least on auto remarketing, it said that CDK had refused to transfer. So that's a difference between being capable and just making the decision, I'm just not going to do this. And I think that's...
All right, I've changed my mind. CDK
This is where I want to
lose
bring...
that case. I'm done. Yeah. Thank you, David.
When it comes to reputation, goodwill, and the warm and fuzzy side of dealerships and business, what bothers me so much is that there's this, cars are people too, and everything is just dandelions and lollipops and whatever, and then this, we don't know how this happened, kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
And that's what really bugs me, is that there's this pretend malaise of just greatness everywhere. There is deep rooted barrier negativity in this that makes this what it is today.
Just say evil. You wanted to say
I didn't
evil.
know,
yes, you did. I saw on the
I don't like that word because it implies the understanding of what evil is.
Right.
And it's way overused, and I'm not going to use it. No. I consider it deeply negative.
Mark, David, let's get into the DMS space. It looks like there's going to be a big gap from CDK.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I'm not touching that.
Right. Well, and okay, good. Actually, that's good because the DMS and the TMS need to connect at some point. Yeah. Who wants to try to connect with CDK?
Connect with CDK?
Well, they got the dealerships. You got the TMS. Dealers need auto transport services. I'm going out on a crazy limb, but there are brokers in auto transport that are at NADA in a week or two trying to build business with dealership services, including DMS providers.
Mm-hmm.
What's it like saddling up to CDK?
We'll hook that up.
Right?
We'll hook that up. Call me.
Exactly.
Call me.
But there are most major brokers have a booth of at least 10 people scheduled for NADA. Right? It is teams of business, and people are pretending not to see this lawsuit. So when they go to the CDK booth, they can do the whole "hey, yeah, you guys are great" thing. No, didn't hear anything about the lawsuit and the judge.
Yeah, I mean, for us, dealership groups are a definite target for TMS. They need their own auto transport services. But that's one thing where you're a specific vendor for a specific element of their operation. Another thing becoming I think Mark used a great word, a heartbeat of their system. That's a whole different kettle of fish. I
know.
Yeah, you can't. I think it's hard to focus
we'll be on Bourbon Street. Nope, I didn't hear anything about that lawsuit. Man, how's it going?
Yeah.
Woo-hoo, let's make money. Right?
I mean, making money is good.
Making money's good. Oh, it's great.
Yeah. But I'll put it on number 6 on my list of priorities.
They are macking money. Even if they didn't acquire one more dealership and they could just keep the legacy dealerships that they have.
There you go.
Would do fine.
But they
have to keep them. They know they have to keep them. And if knocking on the dealership's door, taking new dealerships.
Hey, this is America. Freedom of choice.
100% it is.
Right? Well, not if they don't release the data, so you can.
So wait a minute.
That's why you have legacy dealerships that are just going to stay on.
Yeah. Maybe not evil, but anti-American.
Yes, that is definitely anti-American.
Oh.
If someone wants
anti-American's worse than being evil.
Yeah, if someone wants to leave ClearPath, I just call them crazy and uninformed, but certainly I respect the capitalistic aspect of it, and they have the choice to do what they think is best for their business.
Well, and I think it's an ethical question as well, right? Like, how does the market respond to that? Are they okay with it just being held hostage, or should the data that they generate for their own company be easily accessible so that they can use it? And I can't say that there's a right or wrong in terms of that, but I do think there is an ethical point here.
You know what? I just figured out. Here's what you do at the booth. at NADA, CDK should have like a hostage portion of the booth where they're like, oh, we got the Tekion. We're going to wrap you in Tekion tape. Are you hostage? Oh, no, right? That's what
Good Halloween outfit. Halloween outfit. I like it.
Yeah, go Halloween. That's
Wouldn't
crazy.
it be the other way, though? That Tekion is wrapping people in the CDK tape?
Yeah.
Would that really be the way it is?
Well, CDK wrapping people in CDK tape while Tekion's trying to cut it, I guess.
Which booth is going to take on the Halloween nature of the lawsuit? Ooh.
Probably something below zero.
Well, I don't think Tekion minds that the information is in front of people.
Yeah. It's, that probably...
We got...
I was going to say, if we really want to talk this out, it probably wouldn't help Tekion's lawsuit if they pulled a stunt like that, but, it would be entertaining.
Right. Yeah, probably. Oh, that's true. Everybody's already shopping at the Party City right now because they're having a clearance, and the lawyer just called and said, "Put everything back. We can't do that. Can't do that."
It also makes me wonder, like, how much do you compete on? I guess whichever side of the fence you're on. How much do you compete on, I guess, a legal advantage versus like a product or technological advantage? Like, I love
David's question. That was my first. Like, I didn't like this lawsuit in that sense right there because I feel like they're using lawfare to try to gain a market edge. And listen, business strategy, it's almost capitalistic. Whatever business strategy works, I kind of get it, but there's something about that just didn't sit quite right with me. I really think focus on R&D, focus on getting better. In cases of this where software's sticky like that, I always say it's a war of attrition. Eventually, the worst companies, CDKs, will eventually die. They will eventually collapse. And there's just you just gotta. It's like in any business, you gotta ride the waves and just hang on tight, for the downswings and wait for, like luck is preparation meets opportunity. Just be ready with a good product when that company decides to finally just get rid of CDK and come shop shop around.
Right. I think Tekion has no choice but to do this.
Yeah.
And just keep hammering.
Yeah.
The problem is, you can run out of money if you do that, but
and it's good marketing, if nothing else. I mean, it really just sends a message that CDK bad, we're good. So right now, look at the marketing they're getting right now. It's on the show, everyone's talking about it.
Right.
That part's genius. That standpoint. That probably is part of the strategy. It's a legal budget, but they're using a little of their marketing budget this as well.
CDK, well, I don't know if the hacker thing really affected any bottom line at all. I mean, CDK has a lot.
It did 100%. It did, didn't they? They locked down dealerships. Couldn't.
Dealerships.
The dealerships lost a ton. It was terrible. They couldn't access any of their information for, I think, several weeks, and I could be wrong, but I think it was several.
And then all the scamming that came out of it. You had all these like scammers trying to fish.
Been a good time for
hey, we're your new transition team, and yeah, man, it was.
I mean, nuts. A jury or a judge, somebody decided it was $130 million worth of damage or something like that to dealerships. I think that's what the settlement was.
$130 million of damage to split with all of the dealerships.
Yeah, I think it was class action. I think it was 129. I forget exactly. It was.
I guess you have to have the money to pay it to make that judgment worth anything, but
yeah, that
seems very small in proportion to what the actual dealer loss would have been.
My CTO said that during that period when it was locked down, he had to get service. And it was all done on paper. It had far-reaching consequences.
Oh yeah, there were people sharing screenshots of their write-ups on LinkedIn. Look, we can still operate.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I am looking forward to learning more about Tekion. I hope that this, taking the time to do this, opens the door to the next stage, which should be very interesting to see how I guess what it comes in, man, they better have good software. they sure have worked hard to get that data. The pilot better go well.
They better not have a breach.
Oh my God.
Oh man, imagine that.
Woo.
Oh, that would be a story.
No. Oh no.
Yeah.
Why, Mark? Why?
Yeah. Jinx.
I try not to talk about that really, because
yeah, right, exactly. It can happen to anybody. Oh my God.
Bad juju.
It's amazing. Think of what the news was just 2 weeks ago. It's a whole nother world today. So anything crazy is right around the corner.
Everything crazy is right around the corner.
Everything crazy.
It's going to be a crazy year.
That sounds like a good t-shirt. Everything crazy is right around the corner.
Yeah.
And that's why I try to do these lawsuit shows, because I got to get them done before they become old news.
Very informative. And just for your listeners, Jay, 100%. Anybody listening now, just know that you should go back and listen again, just to the industry news. It is so informative. Jay does such a good job. And when you listen the second time and then the third time, and you pick something up that you didn't catch the first and the second time, you're like, oh my gosh. Jay, 100% I do that all the time. And I could be slow, but I pick up stuff that I didn't get the first or second time. I really, really appreciate your news. Really nice job. You just do an awesome job with the news. It's my favorite part.
I agree. You pick definitely great headlines, and I really enjoy listening to it when we're waiting on the sidelines.
Thank you.
And if you listen again, I almost promise that you will pick up something you didn't catch the first time or the second time. It's really amazing.
I'm going to try that.
Do that.
Wow. Well, all right, so disclaimer is what, so we're on show 381 in a row on a Tuesday. Okay. And I try to watch my content back. And, sometimes I can't. And that's how I know, that segment's not working, because I can't watch it, right? Mm-hmm. But there have been times where, and Mark, you've said, check it, I like the news, and I'll watch, and I find myself entertained. Oh, that's the best.
The news,
wow.
The news is the part that, and you make it very easy to get to the news with the links. You can just go right to it and just listen to the news for 15 minutes in the industry that everybody who is listening in the automotive industry, it is relevant to what you do. I promise every show is something relevant to what you do if you're in the auto transport industry. Doesn't matter what part of it, from a dealership to a carrier to a broker to an OEM, there is something there for you every show.
Thank you, Mark. I want to say this. I'm going to add is that I'm actually trying to have an impact. Okay. I read the news. I've been reading the news on other sites for years. And there are some sites, over half of their news is crap. It's not real news. It's boring. I think they know it's not relevant, but they're doing it because it's kind of like likes on LinkedIn now. You give them to the people you want money from. That's how it works. And it really with the slogans, and now there's some really weird, like the slogan says believe in yourself, and it's a picture of like a selfie putting on makeup. Like, what does that have to do with, like, what is that? So I'm seeing news the same way. Like, a lot of news it's just totally self-aggrandizing for your friends, whatever. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to change the news to actual news. ATI news is actual news versus, I don't know, somebody's press release agenda playbook. That's what I'm trying to do.
Used to call it the information superhighway.
Oh yeah.
I love that.
And that line came from the cable guy. It's in the cable guy. But you were saying you said that too. So this is where
a long time ago. Yeah.
Well, the information superhighway. Yeah. Now it's called ATI News, and now that there's two ATIs, now it's ATI #1 news. There's another ATI now?
No, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, of course there are. There's 2 ARAs. Did you know there's 2 ARAs? Like, why? I don't know, but there are. Yeah, there's now 2 ARAs.
I'm going to hook you up with the TEKION lawyers.
We are in
TEKION lawyers, and we're going to get that other ATI. We don't know who they are.
Well,
they're not welcome.
I don't like them. Whoever they are,
No, you don't. And well, there's. I don't know what there is there, but the thing is that's why I love these lawsuits, because this stuff contains the truth of what's really happening, not all this leadership Kool-Aid, be yourself. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. It's weird.
It's the gossip, the stuff we're all talking about in the hallways.
It's hallway gossip. Thank you. So, all right, that's great. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for being part of the objective lawsuit discussion panel. And I'm really, really glad all 3 of you were able to make it. Thank you so much. Again, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Well, it was fun.
Likewise.
Thanks, Jay.
Aaron, good seeing you again. David,
good seeing you too, Mark. David.
Yep.
All right, gentlemen, have a good night. We'll see you soon.
See you guys.
Keep in touch.
All right.
Bye.
Peace out.
Guys. All right, peace out. What's up? I know it can be hard to hear. Don't kill the messenger and all that jazz. Is your data hostage? You know, like, can you, if you're, let's say, I don't know, I have an Android phone and I want to go to iPhone. Can I take my contacts with me? Why couldn't I? Verizon doesn't say, you can't move your data. You're stuck here. I can't think of anywhere. I've never seen this before. But I love it. Thank you, TEKION, for filing such an amazing. This thing, you got to read this. This thing is packed. Let me know if you need a copy. Autotransportintel@gmail.com. I can direct you to the link where you can download your own and play along. All right. Thursday, we're going to do What's Your Carrier program on industry logistics. Be sure to tune in for that. Thank you, Superflow Systems. Thank you, Murphy Auto Transport. Thank you, Draver. Again, I want to thank my panel, David, Mark, and Aaron, for joining tonight. Check out ClearPath TMS Solutions. Send me an email, autotransportintel@gmail.com. Here comes the car hauler. Stay safe. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much. Peace out, everybody. Good night.